Good morning, good afternoon, or indeed hello to anybody tuning in today to the Almeida Racing Academy, the Almeida Racing League sponsored by Podium One, live on not just Blair Almeida's channel, but also Pit Road Productions as well. And we are here for round 5 of the Almeida Racing League. Certainly, it's been a lot of fun so far. We've got to see students taking on a variety of different tracks in these open wheel cars. And I suppose I should probably introduce myself as well. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the commentary booth is Reese Yogi Bear Gardner, and on the production controls we've got Rob Goatee Campbell. Now, I've got to say, Reese, VIR North, definitely absolutely fantastic hat as well, sir, biased opinion, but I've got to say, VIR North, I'm familiar with the usual circuit, but certainly the North one does make a little bit of a cut, which I believe misses Oak Tree. Maybe you'd want to expand for your fabulous knowledge on that.
Yeah, so basically coming out of the twisties at the start of the lap, you know, NASCAR bend, the left hook, etc. Little sequence of S's coming out of that. Before you go to the real, like, sort of roller coastery up and over the hills sorts of S's, the track takes a hard right and goes through the infield where the interior layout pit lane is. And so that's going to introduce a bit of an extra sort of challenge for our drivers here today. I think a lot of them would be familiar with the full layout of VIR, or even one of the grand layouts as we know it. But yeah, this for me is a completely new one too. First time I've ever seen a race happen here on this northern layout of the circuit.
Well, certainly should be a good race indeed. Let's take a quick look at the race format though, as we take a quick peek. You can see they've had an hour to practice with 15 minutes of open qualifying. That's happening right now. Certainly open means that, you know, all cars are on track at once. Heat 1 is going to be 15 minutes, but Heat 2 being 15 minutes with the top 10 getting inverted, with a feature race of 20 minutes with the grid being set by that second race. There is no longer a fast repair, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly that's something that the coaches felt was a little bit encouraging for more spirited moves that necessarily weren't going to quite make the cut, but it is certainly added some interesting dynamics there with a fixed setup as well. But a little quick brief overview of the schedule. Let's see where we've been and indeed where we're going. So we started at Alton Park, fantastic track, before we went to Winton, which I think Reese might be the only person on the planet who's a fan of. And Summit Point Raceway for round 3, certainly a Princess-approved track there. Round 4 took us to Red Bull Ring, which certainly did deliver a fantastic amount of action, with round 5 taking us here to VIR. The finale, round 6, April 26th, is going to be over in the Dutch circuit of Zandvoort. But Reese, I suppose we should probably take a quick look at some of the team points and indeed the championship points.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the teams, red is on top, and it's a fairly good margin. That is not quite 200 points. That looks like about a 185 point margin that they have over the purple team. Black team trailing a bit, but remember, just a round or two ago, we had black team and white team equal on points. Well, things have gotten very interesting. Hasn't been a great run for blue team in the last week or two. They've fallen behind black in the standings, and it is a rollicking battle for that last place in the top 3 in those team points. Looking forward to seeing how it's going to work out this round.
As we have a look at the individual points, and you see there Andrew Moran right out up there on top with a just short of a 20-point lead, 19-point lead with a bit quick of Zippy math. Declan Marston, he's in a different split. He's currently in second with 572, with John Morandi in third. Actually, having a quick look through there, Matt Larkin would be the next top split driver on that list. He's currently in 8th place, but just short of 90 points, about 88 points behind the leader of Andrew Moran. So certainly, actually Moran coming in, bit of an interesting interview from the Red Bull Ring, but definitely still a lot to play for with, well, I guess 3 races each round and 2 rounds left to go. It's going to be quite the championship battle as we bring the season to a close.
Oh, certainly will. And, well, as we make our way through qualifying now, 15 minutes on the clock, nearly 5 of which have already elapsed. Ian Joyner on top in the qualifying standings. Vijay Rajasekaran, who has shown some fantastic pace, but has struggled in places to get the results that his pace deserves. Currently 4th place, as Garrett London, Andrew Moran looked like they were drafting across the start-finish line there. Yeah, they're definitely playing the team game here, Garrett and Andrew. Rajasekaran responding instantly with a 129.8 to put himself back onto the provisional front row. But of course, we're all familiar with the VIR Zippy. This is the traditional opening sector of the lap, but just wait until you see here on board with Garrett Lund that hard turn right here, just under the bridge is where you got to start thinking about braking, and then you go all the way up the hill here. Late apex needed. You can't see the exit on the way out. And there's the interior circuit pit lane right there off to the right, and then full on flat out through this little sequence here. You're just balancing the car through these S's as you make your way down to Roller Coaster, and you've rejoined the main layout of the circuit. It looks pretty simple, but trust me, I've driven it myself a couple of times just out of curiosity, and it is far from easy.
Yeah, I'm just, my memory is indeed being recalibrated, and I do remember that interior section now. Certainly that interior pit lane bit, I'm a little bit lost, but don't get me wrong, I try to avoid the pits anytime I've had a race here, certainly on that layout, but I did it in a Skippy, actually, ladies and gentlemen, which is a car notoriously known for being able to slide around, and certainly it's a little bit scary. But you can see here Matt Larkin getting the team game going as well. I'm not quite sure who that is ahead of him, but certainly it's good to see some teamwork in play, as we see there. Fantastic coordination with Anthony Lanassa in the 27 machine, so it's great to see that these guys are indeed working together.
Yep, so Team Purple playing the draft game as well down the long start-finish straight here. And, well, it is the longest straight on the circuit on this layout. If we were running the full layout, it'd be down Madison Avenue from Oak Tree to Roller Coaster, but no opportunity for big slipstream battles down that section of the circuit. They'll have to make do with the run into the horseshoe of Turn 1. Valdas Vansavicius here in the Team White number 18. Actually, no, he's 18th. What's his number there? White on white. That is certainly a choice. 87. He's going to be leading these Team Purple cars around. It's difficult when you've got people who are trying to coordinate and they come up behind you. You don't have anyone to draft with yourself, so you are at the mercy of this drafting pair.
Oh, very much. He's a sitting duck at this point, and he's currently probably trying to put in one of these hot laps. And you can see there, he's got a teammate ahead of him. Maybe he's just not managed to quite keep up. It could be Alan Yan, it could be Sultan Zomator. But certainly, you know what, you do want to try and stay in the draft. The problem is if you just lose it a little bit, then it can really compromise your speed. Certainly, the F1600 not known to be the most potent of vehicles. And, well, again, Sultan Zomator up there leading him along. And, you know, certainly, you got to sometimes as well make sure that you're not even that you're not too close, because that can actually have like a counterproductive effect and actually slow you down. As you see there, going down the start-finish straight. I got to admit, we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of passes as they head down into Turn 1.
Yeah, Turn 1 I think is going to be the main overtaking opportunity here. I mean, you could probably get moves done into the left hook if you get a good run out of NASCAR Bend. This sequence coming up right here through Turn 2 and then through Turn 3. This is NASCAR Bend, run all the way over the curb, and then there's the left hook there that Mahid Rahman is negotiating at the moment through the right. And then this whole section here is all about rotating your car on throttle, making sure that you got it pointed in the right direction to straight line that series of S-bends there. It's VIR is, I mean, for people who have followed me on YouTube for years, they know that I'm not the biggest fan of VIR. I find it quite a frustrating track at the best of times to get right. I do understand why people like it, but yeah, I think that section is the one section of the circuit that I'm actually a really big fan of, because I always like it when a racetrack forces you to slide your car in order to get around it. VJ there having some issues in Roller Coaster.
Well, certainly I've got to start to question my commentator a little bit. He likes Winton, but is not a fan of VIR, so it's fair to say that he's obviously things are done a little bit differently down under. Fair play to him, though. Everybody's got the right to an opinion, and just in this case, it's wrong. But certainly, as you see here, Andrew Moran teaming up with Garen
Speak of this
there.
later.
As the roast continues, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, maybe we have to add a subscriber level for the Pit Road Party, Pit Road Productions after party. Certainly, definitely not stuff we'd want to put necessarily on air, but definitely some good bit of banter, some good bit of giggles. But right now, Mahid Rahman has been able to snake away that lead. And I've got to say, he's the champion from Season 2, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly good to see him up doing well. And look at that. No surprises. He has a teammate right in tow. So definitely some teamwork at play. This is what you're going to need to have success in qualifying.
Yep, Cairo Owens will certainly be grateful for the little bit of slipstream that he's getting at the moment, and being able to figure out a little bit more the lines around this circuit. You know, it's good to be right behind the fastest driver in a qualifying session, because you can study their lines, you can learn from them. Where are they braking? Where are they turning in? How hard are they turning in? All of those aspects are relevant at any racetrack, but I think particularly at VIR, definitely is a driver's circuit. It follows the terrain. It's completely natural in the way that it does so. So you've got to take advantage of those elevation changes to get your faster lap around here.
Certainly, and I've got to be honest, I really enjoy those elevation changes. It makes for a lot more fun. It actually, VIR is indeed on the list of tracks I'd love to drive in real life. It's definitely up there, and we'll see it in the next couple of camera shots, actually. But there's actually some chalets that you can actually rent. And so then you can go stay there in the chalet, watch the racing, drive the track. I mean, to me, that's exactly what you need at a racetrack. And I think that's actually coming like a little bit off topic here, but like Oro Station's a new racetrack being built, and I find even in a lot of the new racetracks now, like it used to just be, you know, that you'd have the racetrack, you'd have the concessions, the stands and stuff like that. But now they're building more and more. They're building like these apartments with garages in it, and people rent them, buy them, whichever. And I think that's what's become crucial now in like 2025 for a racetrack to be profitable and survive. And maybe this is something that can happen at Willow Springs. I mean, I don't know if it's got that out there, but certainly, you know, it's interesting how it's changed, you know, just random food for thought.
No, yeah, I agree. They've just finished constructing the same sort of setup at Lime Rock Park as well, which is really awesome. You know, and the chalet, the sort of country club model that VIR has. That's what saved the track. That's what brought it back when it reopened, because this place is one of the original purpose-built sports car tracks of the United States, operating since the mid-1950s, but it ended up closing in the mid-1970s, and it sat dormant for some 20 years. And then it was resurrected under that country club model, and now it's able to turn a profit and has reattracted those massive motorsport events to it. So yeah, good on them, being able to run the racetrack and showcase it to the world as it should be. You know, regardless of my personal opinions on driving around this place and the difficulties I have with VIR, I cannot deny it is one of the best racetracks in the United States.
Well, there we go. Reese has decided to redeem himself, ladies and gentlemen. I think we'll keep him around. But look at this now. We've got Fernando Afonso looking to get in on that drafting train. And you can see there, he's got Andrew Moran ahead of him. Probably Garrett Lund ahead of him. Yep, good guess there. Certainly, Garrett Lund definitely had a bit of bad luck recently. He's definitely had pace, but been getting caught up in a few incidents. Hopefully, he can have a cleaner race today. Fernando Afonso as well, actually. I did see him mentioned in the penalties, and it looks like he came away pretty much unscathed from that. Certainly, you know, it can be unfortunate. These guys are indeed pushing the car as hard as they possibly can. Sometimes they gently does it, is the way.
Absolutely, especially coming through Hogpen here, but Garrett Lund all over the curbs and sliding the rear around. Car in front of him having some issues getting through Hogpen, and almost thought about going for the pits, I thought, for Mayan Glixer, but I think in the last couple of minutes of the session, he's decided to try and snatch a bit of slipstream. Regardless, it's still a difficult run down the start-finish straight for Mayan. Not able to get any higher than 25th place at the moment. Andrew Moran now down to third. Larkin has taken provisional pole, but Edwin Rivera right behind him there. Only 400th separating our top times. It looks like that is going to be Edwin's final opportunity there. We are in the final minute of the session, and because it's a heat server, that means there is a hard cut to the end of qualifying. Larkin getting across the line again here, and looks like Lanassa has managed to get within 4,000ths of a second of him.
See, that's exactly why I really enjoy the way that they have this league set up, because you've got that team element, and that Larkin and Lanassa have just demonstrated my favorite part of that. And it's not just like, okay, go out and run what you run kind of deal. You have to work as a team if you're going to have some success. Don't get me wrong, there's some drivers in here who are indeed potent on their own terms. Certainly Mahid Rahman, Ian Joyner especially. I've seen that man rocking an F1600, and he's been an absolutely unstoppable weapon. But right now, Mike Sargent looking to try and capitalize on the draft of his competitors. Not quite able to get it done, as that hard cut off does indeed cut through. And actually, look at that. The marshal stand's got a porta potty. That's very considerate, actually. Nice little gazebo as well. But we should probably take a quick look at the grid. Reese, do the honors, sir.
All right, so Matt Larkin and Anthony Lanassa are your front row, and well done to the both of them for getting on the front there. 0.004 of a second, the margin for pole, with Edwin Rivera and Andrew Moran on row 2. Mahid Rahman in 5th, with Ian Joyner joining him in the top 6. Garrett Lund qualifies 7th alongside Mike Sargent. Look for some good defending from that number 88, with Mark Frederick and Sammy Hendricks rounding out the top 10.
As we have a look at P11, you got Vijay Ratasakaran alongside Michael Prechuk for 11th and 12th. We go back to 13th, we've got Valdes Vansevius with Lee Martinez in 14th. Sean Haggerty takes 15th with Cairo Enns. Get a bit of a cheer from the chat, actually, from Canadian Cutting Edge. He's there in 16th for Leon Bentbelsen, a crowd favourite, in 17th. Kevin Adrian, he takes 18th for Fernando Alfonso in 19th. Alan Yang in 20th with Kyle Diaz Castro in 21st. Rafael Romansky in 22nd with David Kent 23rd, and Zoltan Zomator in 24th. Sorry, Reese, I just realised that. In 25th, Mayan Gliska sits there with Michael Sabinares in 26th.
Yes, so looks like in terms of coaches, we actually don't have many, if any, in the session, which is certainly going to be interesting to see. Regardless, yeah, none present. This is going to be a fun one. It means that some drivers may potentially be missing out on championship points, there being no coaches to defend from. But we will regardless have a very good race indeed. Looks like only 15 seconds or so remaining on the ticker here, and then we'll be able to get ourselves going for the first of 3 races here tonight in the Almeida Racing League. 22-degree track 44-degree track temperature, sorry, 22 in the air. Nice mild day here in Virginia, but the lights come up and we get ready to get things going here. Green flag flies and we are away. Matt Larkin getting off to a good start immediately. Moving to the inside is Anthony Lanassa. And they're going to draw side by side. The Team Purple cars up at the front. This may prove a bit of an opportunity. Lanassa going deep into the first corner and he's going to try and nail the throttle, but there's no grip there on the outside. He's able to get a good exit regardless, and he'll move to the lead coming into turn 2.
Well, I definitely think that Lanassa and Larkin had that planned out. They very much, okay, we've got the P1, we've got the P2. Let's absolutely shut the door on these guys behind us. And I got to say, I absolutely loved it. But you got Team Red lurking behind him. You got Mahid Rahman, Edwin Riviera, and Ian Joyner. Can these guys capitalize on it as well? There does appear to be one lone blue car, and that's Andrew Moran. Certainly, he is currently leading the championship, but he's got no teammates around him. As that's a very big send there. I think he had the right to the corner, but it looks like it's worked out bad for Larkin, able to keep it on the track, but now he's going side by side. So already the purple team has indeed been split up as they're still battling it out. Larkin at a little bit of a disadvantage now as he's got Mahid Rahman breathing up his exhaust pipe.
Oh my goodness, here we go. This is going to be a crazy race if this is anything to go by. Moran still holding on to second place as they try desperately to shift that cork in the bottle that has emerged in the form of our championship leader, Andrew Moran, to the end of the first lap. Then Matt Larkin in the slipstream wants to get second place back, and here is that slipstream we were talking about, Zippy. It's very strong in these F1600s, but Moran doing the smart thing and sticking to the inside here to defend into the first corner. He manages to do that, and that offers an opportunity for Mahid Rahman to potentially move Larkin out of the top 3.
Well, you definitely saw what Larkin had in mind, and Mahid Rahman definitely saw like, okay, opportunity, I'm going to go for it. And now these guys are going side by side. You see Rahman up on the inside. He's going to be on the outside for the next corner. So certainly, I mean, it's great racing, but it is definitely slowing them down. Andrew Moran has now pulled away quite noticeably in that gap. He's about 8/10 of a second, if I worked it out right. 8/10, sorry. Yeah, 8/10 of a second. So certainly, side by side through there is fun, but maybe not the most beneficial scenario.
Quite, yeah. It looks like potentially Rajasekaran has had an issue, and We'll find out what happened to him here in the Team Purple machine. Okay,
Oh.
so there was a spin in the background. That had nothing to do with this. Oh, dear. That's the 77 being turned around there. That was Mark Frederick. And unfortunately, VJ had nowhere to go as he was splayed across the racetrack.
It looks like Leon Bentbelsen's got into an accident as well. Certainly the crowd's not going to be happy with that, as he has indeed towed to the pit. So let's see exactly what happened here. 23 machine, the Benelux driver, he's going there, and is this going to be an opportunistic move? We certainly saw, yep, no, we saw it get pulled off by Andrew Moran. Didn't quite work out for Bentbelsen, and he's actually beached the car. That's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not ideal. We have a very difficult run to go from here for many drivers who, you know, it's turned out to be a bit of a chaotic start to this race, and VIR isn't always the best track for passing on either, so you've got to try and pick your battles here. Follow on with Kevin Adrian, who's chasing down Sean Haggerty for lucky 13th, and Adrian up 4 places, but he's got Rafael Romanski, who is up 7 spots just behind him, so look forward to seeing that Team Black car push him, and he's got Sammy Hendricks for very close company too. We know how aggressive a racer Sammy Hendricks can be.
Yeah, certainly Sammy Hendricks as well. He's one of the novice coaches at the Almeida Academy, so don't get me wrong, he'll be keen to you know, try and make up a few positions, but he's been proven to be a good teacher. Certainly, you know, when we did season 2, we certainly saw him organising sessions back when he was running with Team Blue. So certainly some good stuff there. We're going to wish him the best of luck. Battles happening throughout the field, but it looks like everything's going quiet on the crash side, which is pretty good. But I do see that Andrew Moran has just set the fastest lap as well. Oh, and he's taking the lead.
Certainly has. Yeah. Moran actually getting a really good run on this last lap here. He's managed to get back into the lead of the race here versus Lanassa. And now it's up to Lanassa to respond here. It's a 15-minute race. We have only 10 minutes remaining. So clock is ticking, Anthony. Let's see how you can respond to this. They do have a good gap to the rest of the top 5, but Matt Larkin, Mahid Rahman, and Ian Joyner, we can put Garrett London there as well. He's trailing off the back there in the Team Blue car. They are starting to catch up. Now, for Lanassa, he's fortunate that Larkin is also a Team Purple car, so he can trust that that Larkin won't try to go for any dive bombs here. He'll try and help out, I think, a little bit in this battle with Moran at the front.
Yeah, certainly Lanassa and Larkin were absolutely ruling the team game in qualifying, and it paid off. They got that P1, P2 grid start. And if you look behind him, you got Mahid Rahman and Ian Joyner as well. Hopefully we can see some good teamwork with them. Garrett Lund trailing in 5th place as well. But I do have to wonder, you know, what is the play for this night? Do these guys want to try and fight and try and take off P1? Get ahead of Andrew Moran, or do they want to try and defend against Team Red behind them? Certainly Moran is a championship leader. You know, if you want to try and have a shot at that, you do need to try and get some points, and he's been Mr. Consistency so far. That Ohio driver really has been hard to get off the top steps of the podium.
Yeah, for sure he has. Look at the fight going on here. All these guys are together, and Lanassa is pressuring Moran for the lead coming into the first turn. Not much to be done, though. It's the waiting game at this stage, isn't it? You know, yes, we have only a very short amount of time to actually race, but it's often best to just sit back and wait for that opportunity. You know, there's a bit of insurance in the form of Matt Larkin behind for Anthony Lanassa. He can be assured, I think, that they'll hold station for a couple of laps here and try and figure out what the best mode of attack is. But Lanassa, if he is going to pass Moran for the lead again, he needs to commit to it, and he needs to make sure that Moran doesn't have an opportunity to fight back.
Certainly, it's risk versus reward, and you've really got to make sure you've got a clean run. I think going into turn 1 is going to be the best time. He's going to have to really make sure he gets that fantastic exit as they go down onto the start-finish straight. Certainly going through here, you could try and force a move, but I wouldn't suggest it. Don't get me wrong. It would be a higher risk maneuver, especially around this corner. And you see, it's almost like the Almeida Academy has got a little bit of a cha-cha line going here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly a bit more rhythm than I have. Certainly more than probably actually anybody in the commentary booth. But definitely he's making some interesting racing so far. And this is that exit. He's going to have to be really key here. And you're going to see Moran is going to absolutely park it on that inside line. If Lanassa wants to take a run, he's going to have to go the long way round.
Yeah, all right. here we go. Look, the momentum, the lob, the slingshot past to get the lead into turn 1 again. Lanassa leads on the 6th lap here, but Moran immediately responding back with the over-under. He's going to be on the outside, and Lanassa having to yield there. I think he tried. It was a bit of a tester, wasn't it? He wanted to see how Moran would fight back. He did have that gap to work with, and so he'll be able to figure something else out next time.
Very much like a high-speed game of chess at this point. And not only that, you do have to wonder as well, is there a tactical time to pass? Certainly, if you know that you can get a good slipstream going, and if you can get that pass done before you get to the start-finish straight, then you know, okay, I need to save it till the last lap. However, if you're not going to be able to carry that momentum until you get down to turn 1, then he's going to have to get the pass done a lap or two earlier. Or I'll say 1 lap early, so he doesn't get it basically taken back off him on the... you get what I'm trying to say. I'm going around in circles a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, the intention is good. The execution is questionable. And certainly that's how most of my passes go in iRacing as well. Certainly some colourful driving there. I do need to get back into the Almeida Academy racing material. But certainly this is going to be where we're going to see it. Is Moran going to be able to hold on for a second time? Certainly Lanassa did apply pressure. Then don't get me wrong. I think he could have stayed up fighting Moran and chose not to. Certainly his teammate, he doesn't want to, cause a bit of a clog up there, but he's going to have to do it around the outside, leaving a generous amount of space, I admit. I think I would be a bit more aggressive there with Moran. I would squeeze him as hard as I possibly could on that inside line.
Yeah, well, you can see that because of the extra space Moran had to widen the entry to turn 1, he was able to carry some great momentum through it. And now Lanassa has to stay behind again for a little bit longer. But now that everyone has come together here in the top 5, this is the issue for Lanassa. Yeah, he still has his teammate there, but he's also got Joyner and Rahman, who are absolutely harassing the back of the top 3 here. Remember, Joyner was very fast in practice and qualifying. He's got a lot of opportunity here for some big points today, and so he'll be watching this with I don't know, maybe some dollar signs in his eyes or something.
Show me the money. That's certainly the pass he's going to be looking for. And maybe got a little bit of Tom Cruise on the mind right now. But literally, I am thinking, and certainly my old iRacing team was Top Gun Racing, and that happened purely from I was racing at Daytona, and I'm like, will you be the Maverick to my Goose, something like that? And now I have a buddy who I literally only call Maverick, and he only calls me Goose. So it's fun time, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly, Lanassa is indeed going to need a wingman. Now the question is it going to be Goose? Is it going to be Val Kilmer? Bless him. Is it going to be the Iceman? Is it going to be Rooster? Well, I guess Rooster was the guy who was sat in behind him. But certainly my Top Gun knowledge failing a little bit there. But he's going to need the support if he's going to get this pass done. As you see there, Larkin holding on. He's been able to keep the door shut to Ian Joyner, but for how long? Certainly Joyner does have him in those sights. Is he going to hit the button and go, baby, go? Move his way up onto the podium.
This is the big question. Oh, a little bit of a dip for Mahir Rahman there. Took a little bit too much out of the curb at NASCAR Bend there. That's going to make him lose contact with the top 4 a bit, but they're running so close together, and they've got all these twisties that they have to compromise their lines through, that Rahman should be able to catch back up in short order. See a bit of a check up there between the Team Purples. And Moran is offered just a little bit more breathing room. This is such a scintillating battle. We haven't been able to take our eyes off it. But honestly, this is just too good. This is exactly the kind of racing we love to see. It's all a waiting game. Who's going to stick the nose in? Who's going to surprise us with a big move?
Certainly at this point, I think... I don't know what the Team Purple technique is here. Do they want to try and score the team points, or they want to go for the win? Certainly, I'm not the guy to make that judgment call. Certainly, as a team point of view, and even as a driver point of view, second and a third is fantastic. Certainly, Matt Larkin appears to have literally dipped himself in purple dye. The dash is purple, his suit's purple, I believe his helmet's purple, the car's purple, the wheels are purple. Certainly, he's representing, ladies and gentlemen. There's no mistaking who he's side by side as they head around turn 1. And look at that, the Team Red guys looking to maybe do the same as well. Now, are these guys going to swap over? You've seen the Team Purple guys. Is it going to be Matt Larkin's turn to have a go? Looks like Lanassa's held on to it, but Larkin's gone wide. He's in the sand, and Team Red absolutely capitalized on that. Lanassa now without his wingman. The team has indeed been split up, and Team Red may be looking for a shot at Andrew Moran.
Yes, let's see what they can do. Still trailing off the end of this one is Garrett Lund, but he might get a chance for a few free positions if there's some kind of coming together. Back from Moran. He now has a little bit more breathing room over Anthony Lanassa. But you've got to nail every single braking zone around here through this this sequence, this very tough sequence of corners. Braking for Roller Coaster. It is somewhat of an overtaking opportunity still on this layout, but you can see that Lanassa's just not been able to keep up with Moran on this lap. I think that might be the difference maker here, unless there's an absolutely compelling exit from Lanassa coming out of Hogpen. It's going to be difficult. He needs to stick behind Moran and pick up the slipstream here.
Certainly, he's 0.4 of a second back at the start of that straight. That gap's down to 3 seconds, 3/10 of a second, and the closing. And look at that. Looks like Joyner's thinking about having a go now. We know that Joyner's got pace. I've raced against him. I say against him. I've watched him lap me. Certainly, you can tell where I sit in that strength of field. But he's definitely, I can hear the director laughing as well. He's so absolutely just made his day. No disagreement. As there we go. We see Ian Joyner up on the inside. He's going to be on the inside for the next corner again as well. And I think that's it. I think Joyner's got it done. Lanassa relegated to third.
Yeah, I think Lanassa maybe has just been thrown off his rhythm a little. And that's opened up the opportunity for Joyner to get through. And now he has to be the meat in a Team Red sandwich here. And Mahid Rahman moving in the mirrors there. Psychological game begins. Rahman certainly very experienced with battles in this kind of situation. You just move around in your rivals' mirrors, psych them out a bit. You could put them offline at just the right time to make a move. And he's looking up the inside again briefly there on the run into Roller Coaster. Won't be able to make any moves here coming through Roller Coaster and Hogpen. But if you nail the exit from this last fast right-hander, you can carry that momentum all the way down the straight. You saw how Rahman slid the car through the corner there just to get it online, but it was a little too much for him. Race is over, and that is going to be checkered flag in the air from what I can see. Is it? Is it the last lap? I'm showing that the race is over. There was no checkered flag from Barney, but Andrew Moran taking a very convincing victory.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. There's a battle going on for P9 right now. Oh, no, that's finished. I'm going to say Alan Yang and Mike Sargent, a drag race to the line. We're going to check in as well. More of these drivers. Edwin Riviera, he did get caught up in an incident earlier on. We see more battles happening. Fernando Alfonso looking to try and hold on, I guess, at this point to Lee Martinez. I think he got caught up in something as well. And, yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. Wow, that was incredibly close racing. Certainly, honestly, exactly what I expected us to get. Certainly, you know, I'm a little bit surprised that the order Team Purple not quite able to hold on. Moran, I gotta admit, it was a pretty baller move, but it paid off for him. It was clean, so fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play indeed. Andrew Moran, your victor. Ian Joyner getting second with Anthony Lanassa in third. And Rahman, Larkin, Lund, Enns, Pretchuk, Sargent, and Yang rounding out the top 10. Well done to the lot of them for managing to get to the end of the race in one piece. And, well, that's going to bring us straight into the grid for race 2. Take the top 10 and flip it. That means that Yang is going to start pole position here with Mike Sargent alongside him. Mikhail Pretchuk and Cairo Enns on row 2. London Larkin 5th and 6th with Mahid Rahman starting 7th alongside Anthony Lanassa. Ian Joyner and Andrew Moran round out your top 10.
Absolutely lovely stuff there, Reese. With Kevin Adrian in 11th, Sean Haggerty, he's going to take 12. As we have a look at P13, we've got Rafael Romansky. He was having a good race last round. He's there in P13 alongside Edwin Riviera in 14th. Valis Pansivius in 15th with Sammy Hendricks, the novice coach, in 16th. Vijay Ratasakaran, hopefully he can have a cleaner race this time, is in 17th with David Kent in 18th. Fernando Alfonso takes 19th with Lee Martinez in 20th.
Yep, 21st place. Mark Frederick, he got spun in race 1, so he's going to be trying to fight back here with Sabiniaz and Zomotor also having tough races. Diaz Castro and Bentville's, and they finished a lap down in race 1, starting 24th and 25th, and then Mayan Glixa, the last driver on the grid here, it's going to be tough. A retirement there for Glixer, but plenty of opportunity for some redemption here. But Team White starting on pole position and got 3rd place potentially in the bag here as well for the start. Prechuk will try his best to keep all behind him there, but the battle between Team White and Team Black will continue with Mike Sargent now in the box seat for that.
Certainly, I'm looking at the grid, and right now I think there's a couple of drivers we want to keep an eye on. Certainly, Mike Sargent, we know he's a very strategic driver, and certainly if you want to try and pass the guy, you've really got to bring your A game. I think him starting in P2 is going to be exactly the technique that he's looking for. Our technique, the approach, strategy, call it what you want, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to do well, is my prediction. Certainly, as long as he can keep that car clean, I think he's going to be a very challenging contender. Cairo Ends, we got a little bit of love for him in the chat as well from Canadian Curtain Edge. He's looking to try and do some damage here. Certainly, we've seen some good pace from him, but definitely had a little bit of bad luck. Hoping he can do a little bit better. Certainly, starting in P4 is a pretty opportune place to be. But Garrett Lund as well. He's now top of the steps for the blue team. Can he capitalize on this? Certainly, I feel this guy deserves a good result. And as long as he can stay with that lead pack, can we potentially see him up on the podium?
Yeah, this is the potential here, isn't it? Still waiting for that kind of performance to eventuate, but we only have a few seconds remaining before we find out for sure. Inverted top 10. Who's going to be making the biggest moves coming into turn 1? I'm sure that we'll see Mahid Rahman at least try to have a go at things. Matt Larkin potentially too. Lanassa will have to work extra hard in this one. He thought race 1 was tough. Well, he's going to have 2 more still to come. Lights are up and green flag will be held in the air by Barney at some point. Looks like he's taken the day off today. Oh, there's the green flag. Alan Yang getting to a good start there, but it's also a great start from Mike Sargent immediately keeping Mikhail Prechuk behind him and swapping into turn 1. He's very late into the first corner, almost cleaned up Alan Yang.
Well, that definitely was getting a little bit sketchy there as we see the Team Purple drivers are now going 3 wide, and there's been an instant further back. Michael Sabinares, he's got caught up with somebody, but thankfully a clean start for the most part. Looks like David Kent was involved in that as well. But Alan Yang currently leading this race, certainly Heat 2, as he got Mike Sargent behind him, and Cairo Enz has already made his way up into 3rd. As, oh my gosh, something big's happened. It's huge. And you see Kevin Adrian, I do feel for this guy. He's definitely not had the best of luck. Another Team Purple car involved in that. We'll have a quick look at that in just a few moments. Looks like absolutely massive collateral damage. I've seen at least 3 cars with a meatball flag. And already looking for a pass there is Cairo Ends, looking to make a move on Mike Sargent. But right now, Alan Yang really capitalized on it. He's already about 7/10 of a second ahead.
It's a bit of a similar situation what we saw at the start of race 1 is, what's that? Oh, Sargent yielding a couple of positions there. I wonder if he picked up a slowdown through the first sector and had to clear it. I can't see any other reason why he would just let Enz and Prechuk go, unless this is a tactical maneuver. Evidently, everyone's having trouble keeping it on the racetrack today.
Oh, I just see Rafael Rowensky has had an incident as well and towed to the pits, but they're going 3 wide as they head down to turn 1. I'll say that 3 wide, they're getting there. Yep, there we go. You got Ian Joyner, Mahid Rahman, and I believe that's Garrett Lund. How are these guys going to get through this corner? Certainly 3 wide is a lot of fun, but it's a high-risk maneuver. And you see these guys trying to get it sorted out. Mahid Rahman emerges top of that trio. And you see their Team Blue looking to fight back as well. You got Garrett Lund and Andrew Moran. Certainly Moran, we've seen he's had good consistency, but can he move it up through the field? He started in P10. He's already up to P8. What else can he do? As you see battles happening there, it looks like Mike Prechuk and Mike Sargent going hard at it for P2. The whole time, though, Alan Yang has pulled away 2 seconds on the gap.
Yeah, so that whole battle that we were seeing at the front of that pack all started from Cairo Enz having a big slide in turn 1, and he goes for another one. Contact with Sargent coming into the left-hander, and he just manages to stay out of the way of everyone else. Oh, that is tough. And Cairo Enz, after starting in the top 4, and fighting for the lead, is going to have to settle for a position much further down the field from here. Mike Sargent effectively gifted 3rd place back from that, and he is right in the wheel tracks of Mikhail Prechuk now. But that means not only is Alan Yang broken away in the lead, Enz and Prechuk, Prechuk and Sargent, they have their own battle to contend with, and Joyner and everyone behind is now in their own pack too.
Well, certainly, Joyner is very familiar with these F-1600s. He's going to be one of, and he's going to be saying to Mahid Rahman, if these guys are indeed chatting in the Discord, that they're going to be saying, look, we need to single file it and need to try and catch up to the lead pack. But certainly, you know what? That's a good team strategy, but you're also fighting the guys around you. As you see there, Andrew Moran has snaked his way up to 5th place already. This guy is absolutely moving right now. And Ian Joyner is going to be next on the list. Certainly, I think he's going to have a bit more of a tough time with the 16 car. But Alan Yang's definitely the race he's been looking for. He's definitely got it right now. The 63, 2 seconds ahead. But I do have to wonder as well, if you look back from Mike Sargent in that number 88 car, it's about 0.8 of a second to Ian Joyner. Are we going to see that gap close? Actually, as I have a look at the timing, for the most part, all the way down to P21, these guys are all very much in sight of each other.
Yeah, they certainly are. All it takes is, Oatley on Bentvelsen getting a good maneuver done. Oh, no, that was not ideal. He and Fernando Afonso, I believe, coming together there. Oh, that was massive. Bentvelsen goes flying, and that's the deal racing in open wheel cars. You got to be careful to give each other space on the way into the corners, otherwise that's what's going to happen.
I certainly don't think there's any love lost between those two drivers. I don't think they are on the Christmas card list. Certainly Fernando Afonso, we saw he was very potent in the M2. The 1600 definitely not quite fit in his approach of driving, we should say that. But Michael Prechuk applying pressure now to the back of Mike Sargent. Sargent trying to break the draft a little bit, but he's going to hug that inside line, and I can't say that I blame him there. Look at that, squeezing, leaving as little space as he can, and it's not worked out for him as he's gone deep, and that's not one, that's not two, and it's almost going to be 3 cars absolutely stealing that position away for him. Mike Sargent with the defensive, and I think it's fair to say it cost him a little bit more than he bargained for.
Defending here at VIR is difficult. You've got so many corners coming thick and fast at you, and there's rarely ever a double of any kind of corner either. There's one that we just saw on screen, a double right, but aside from that, you are having to go all over the racetrack in order to defend, and it costs you a lot of time if you choose to do so. Prechuk on the defensive as well, but you see that he washes out on the exit there. That's what happens when you go tight into a corner. You lose a bit of pace in the mid-corner, and all of the momentum you could have carried is gone on the exit, and that means Ian Joyner has been able to set up this sequence nicely, carry a bit more speed than Prechuk, but now he hits the metaphorical brick wall. He can't get past until he has the slipstream on the start-finish straight.
Well, I got to be honest, I think there may be some team tactics going on right now for Team White. Certainly, Alan Yang, it was a 2-second gap. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen, a 3-second gap now. I have a feeling that Mr. Prechuk is maybe trying to help his teammate get a little bit more of a lead. Certainly at 3 seconds, these guys are going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and indeed maybe a couple of geese as well if they want to try and catch him up. But certainly you see Ian Joyner making a move down the outside. Everybody looking to make a move as Sargent's looking to try and make one up on the inside. It looks like he's going to get the better of Andrew Moran, at least for now. And he's right back up on the draft, cuts across. Moran swings over, and that looked like it could have been a contact there. Very, very close as Moran moves his way up into 4th.
Yeah, only just though, and wider exit there from Sargent means he can hold on to it, but almost runs into the back of Prechuk. Space has to be given, and side by side through this sequence is rarely going to end well for either of these two drivers. Mahid Rahman now sticks his nose right into it, and they're so close to banging wheels. Little extra strip of tarmac there to drivers right that they could use, but 2 by 2 into the infield section. This is fantastic.
It read my mind, Reece. Certainly, I was wishing was on the full circuit now. I've gone side by side through that next set of chicanes, and it's fair to say I was not a fan of the person that instigated it. It was a clean move. Actually, I think Rob Campbell's remembering certainly the car combination I had for that, and remembering me throw the teddies out the pram at the result, but certainly some good laughs there. But right now, Anthony Lanassa, he sat there in P8. He is part of this pack. He's got right behind him, he's got his teammate Matt Larkin. So the double duo has indeed managed to stick together, the 27 and the 8, but can they capitalize? Because they've got Edmund Riviera and Cairo N. So despite N's little contact earlier, he has managed to stay with his lead pack. 11 cars, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, 10 cars in this pack. As I say, Alan Yang has pretty much checked out at this point, and then not only that, he is lapping incredibly quickly right now, doing a 129.9. He's very potent. Currently, Moran with a 129.4, but keep in mind, Moran has a draft he can use. Alan Yang's out there. He's running solo, and he's still pulling away from the pack. 3.3
that's
seconds.
too wide.
As Prechuk has took the scenic route through the corner.
Yep, that is quite a scenic route indeed, and now he's back under pressure from Mike Sargent, who sweeps around the outside to get the position, and Prechuk's still struggling to keep it on the circuit, but there's the opportunity there from Rahman, and also potentially from Garrett Lund as well in the blue car. This is tight. Rahman sees his opportunity, tries to get up the inside there of Mike Sargent, but just enough room being given. I think everyone will be thanking their lucky stars for that extra bit of asphalt there, where the interior layout rejoins this North Circuit variant.
I'm almost starting to feel like we should put some little rip tags on these cars and see how many drivers can grab tags off the competition. Certainly, I think these guys are getting close enough. They could certainly get a good mittful in that cockpit, but incredible cross action so far. Sargent, we know he is a defensive weapon, but looking at that, that appears to be exactly what he's done. They've now dropped back about 2 seconds from Moran and Joyner. Certainly Moran up 7 spots. Ian Joyner up 7 spots. Actually, our hard charger right now is telling me it's Mark Frederick in P11, as he's just gone to P12. He's fighting side by side. But look at this battle as we head down into turn 1. Garrett Lund's going to look and try and sneak it up on the inside. And as you were saying, Reece, you don't tend to get too many corners where there's like a back-to-back right, left, anything like that. So it's very much a in and out, topsy-turvy, and undercut kind of move. As you see there, not able to get it done, but definitely applying a good helping of pressure. As I say that, it's gone horribly wrong there. Mike Sargent getting caught up, for lack of better words, mounted there, and Mahid Rahman coming away pretty much unscathed from that.
Yeah, looked to me like Sargent got a bit of oversteer on the way into the left hook, and unfortunately momentum lost. Rahman going straight for the apex there, caught him, and had to take the tour across the circuit. Rejoins with very little damage. I think the netcode gods were smiling on them there, but yeah, I don't think Mike Sargent's going to be very happy with how this race has gone for him.
Yeah, I don't think Sargent was really at fault from what I could see from that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the steward, and I've got zero desire to be a steward. But one thing we should probably check in actually was that lap 1 crash that took out a couple of cars. We saw Kevin Adrian, Vijay Rajasakaran, and I think Fernando Alfonso got caught in that on lap 1. We'll have to try and check that in a few minutes. But the gap to Alan Yang was 3.3 seconds. It's come down to 3 seconds. But I think at this point, Mike Prechuk, he did a fantastic job holding him off. And I think he's been able to enable his teammate to get the lead. As you see there's Kevin Adrian. That's after the lap 1 incident. Missing a nose cone, but fair play to him, still able to drive that car back. More chaos, more catastrophe here. Team Purple very much suffered in that. Definitely no shortage of incidents. Here we go. Let's find out. Reece, talk us through it.
Okay, so we're looking at Romansky, and the Team Purple cars are up ahead of him. Oh, just running into the back of him. Romansky gets spun, and then there was very little that Kevin Adrian and Vijay Rajasekaran could do there. It was another case of a car being spun and then getting splayed across the racetrack. Not much room to get around. And, well, that was all she wrote from there. Kevin Adrian's perspective of this, he was just caught out by getting on the brakes a bit early, and, well, he had multiple big hits to that car. The suspension was destroyed, and he had to, unfortunately, keep it going from there. But speaking of keeping it going, Moran and Joyner, what a fight they're having for second place right now. It's a bit like Pironi versus Villeneuve at Dijon 1979.
Well, you can tell I've been playing too much Marvel because I'm currently thinking it is the Hulk versus Thor, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, these two Goliaths of the sim racing world. Certainly, Joyner, a lot of respect for him. He's beaten me every time we've raced together, short of getting caught up in an incident, in which case that's the only time I generally make positions if it's going to be against Ian Joyner. But this is going to be a very interesting battle, and it's worked out very well for Alan Yang as well. He's up to 4 seconds. These guys fighting is definitely giving him more space in the lead, and it's definitely going to be a very tight fight. Actually, fights happening throughout the field, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we've got some happening back as well. Looks like Valdes Vancivius, Sean Haggerty, and Kyle Diaz-Castro are getting in it as well. Certainly, we want to give everybody a little bit of screen time where we can, and certainly Valdes Vancivius, he's in the lead of this pack. Sean Haggerty behind him, and then Kyle Diaz-Castro, he's actually one of the one of the staff there at the Almeida Academy. I believe he's involved in the website, so fair play to him. Obviously got some driving talent as well.
Yeah, for sure. On board with Castro as he's trying to fire it across those curbs. Get a good run here on Sean Haggerty. All battling for what's ultimately 12th, with Martinez a little bit further up the road. Doesn't seem like there's going to be much of an opportunity to find your way through at this point, but it's very wide for Haggerty on the way in. I mean, sometimes a late apex can help, but I think that might have been a bit too late of an apex there for Haggerty. It's given Castro a little bit of extra room to get by. Meanwhile, here's Edwin Rivera in 9th spot and trying to keep Anthony Lanassa behind him. Lanassa, who qualified second for race 1 and ultimately had to settle for 3rd, trying his best to get back into the top 9 here, but man, he is really extending the track off the exit of Hogpen. We're only going to have a minute left in this race in just a few seconds time, Zippy, and this is where the big moves are really going to start to come into the fore, as Lanassa is going to try what he tried in race 1 with that outside line into the first corner. Not quite successful at getting past one team red car, but Cairo Ends seems to be having some trouble there at the front of this pack.
Well, certainly we've seen some fantastic teamwork there, and you see Cairo Ends, he's at the back of this one, so my apologies there.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong team red car there. I think it might have been Rahman Rivera I was referring to.
Easily done, Reese. To be fair to you, there's only a couple of colours to choose from, and it does definitely get confusing. But right now, well, Alan Yang, he's about 3.5 seconds ahead. As you see there, Moran and Joyner are still going at it. The clash of the Titans, indeed. Certainly, who is going to be holding the Infinity Stones at the end of this? Certainly, it's going to be a stone for each of them, and they're both going to be on the podium unless something drastically goes wrong, which will be entertainment for you there at home, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed for us here in the commentary booth. Thankfully, no injuries occur from sim racing. Very, very, very rare. As you see, Alan Yang having a little bit of a connection issue, so the checkered flag couldn't come soon enough for him as he's heading there. Well, in theory, he's heading there across the start-finish, and I believe he's going to get that done. Can Joyner capitalize it at the end? I think Moran's got it closed off, and looking further back as well. It's going to be a drag race to the line.
Oh, so close for many of these drivers.
Oh, no!
Oh, wow. Okay, that's Mahid Rahman that just got fired into the wall there. Did he get to the line? Was he classed as completing that lap? I'm not sure.
I don't believe so. It has him dropping down the standings. He is not
no.
crossed the line.
Oh, that's such a shame for Mahid. Look at that. Just a little bit of contact on your way to the line there. Lanassa, you know, I mean, I don't think Lanassa did much of anything wrong there. I think it was just more a case of Mahid Rahman trying to come back across and not realizing that Lanassa was there on his inside. And, well, you want to talk about ping pong? Well, sometimes that costs you the entire race.
Yeah, definitely it did not work out well. And what's really going to affect him is that actually carries over to the next race. So Mahid Rahman is now going to start in 22nd place. But we do have a quick warm-up. But before that, we should probably do the results series. Definitely, yes. Definitely not what Mahid Rahman was looking for, though. A huge effect.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yang taking the win there in style. It was actually quite a magnificent drive. Yeah, got one of the fastest laps in that race, too. Moran and Joyner, the battle works out in the favour of Moran for the last 2 spots on the podium, with London Pretchuk rounding out your top 5. Good result there for Mikhail, with Matt Larkin finishing ahead of Cairo Ends and Anthony Lanassa, who the contact with Rahman was made with. Edwin Rivera and Mark Frederick round out your top 10, with Martinez in 11th. Vancevicius comes across the line in 12th, with Carl Diaz Castro lucky 13th. Sean Haggerty will cross the line 4 tenths ahead of Leon Bentvelsen, with Sammy Hendricks finishing 16th. David Kent, Zoltan Zomotor, Mikhail Sabinias, and Mike Sargent rounding out your top 20. And Sargent will be very disappointed with how that race went for him. In 21st place, it was Fernando Afonso with a big crash involved there. And, Kevin Adrian, Mahid Rahman, BJ Rajaseka, and Rafael Romansky and Mayan Glixa unfortunately not able to quite get to the end of that event. Well, here in the Almeida Racing League, it is, of course, consisted of students from the Almeida Racing Academy. Let's hear from them.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Certainly, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of interesting racing, and certainly we're going to see this this grid really, get lively. Certainly, a couple of drivers will be a little bit disappointed about how race 2 went for them, but I got to say, Reese, the VIR North Circuit, it definitely has that unique set of challenges. I do wonder, certainly I get why these guys picked this circuit. It was on the official schedule, but I do kind of wish that they had gone for the longer one. Certainly, we would have seen even more passing opportunities. We would have had that second straight away to fight with. And certainly, going through the roller coaster section, I believe it's called the roller coaster. I'm probably wrong, but that's chicanes before you get to Oak Tree, which they got rid of the tree. I get it, but I mean, it'll still, to me, it will always be Oak Tree. But I do feel that I could see these guys going side by side through there.
Yeah, for sure. VIR is a track that has multiple possible configurations, but sometimes the original is the best. Regardless, I still think this provides a sort of a learning opportunity for a lot of the drivers in this league. Tracks like the VIR North layout that are difficult to pass at other than at turn 1, it forces you to really pick your moves and try to focus on pressuring the driver in front into making a mistake rather than just outright passing them, which is one of the things that you have to learn if you want to be good at racing.
Absolutely. They, I think it's affectionately known as the mind punt, ladies and gentlemen, certainly to psych out your opposition. And we do mention that in the broadcast. We do say there is more than one way to beat your opponent. And, on track is one way. Certainly applying pressure is another. That's another way of doing it. Myself, I think certainly consistency is going to be the key here at VIR North. And definitely with the way that this format is laid out, I think having consistent races is going to be your recipe for success. Like we're seeing, Cairo ends, he's done well. He got another P7, stuff like that. That's just going to keep you scoring points, keep you in the top pack, and keep you with that lead set of leaders. If you can do that, I think, you can do quite well, especially where the draft is so influential on these cars. I think that is the way to have good success here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those tracks where that's really demonstrated. Well, last few seconds of warm-up yet to go here. Beautiful in sim day here at VIR, and the weather is still looking very nice. 22 degrees Celsius. The track has gone up in temperature a little bit to 45. That does mean that we're starting to get into really warm territory. And if you're working those front tires a bit too hard, you are going to be overheating them and suffering understeer for days, which is your worst enemy at the circuit.
Yeah, definitely understeer, easier to control, but very much not what you want as a racing driver. As I got to say, VIR definitely on the bucket list of places to visit. Certainly, I'd want to do the full layout, but I do love the elevation change. It's a beautiful scenic track as well. And again, those chalets, again, I do find it fascinating, as that is indeed the end of warm-up. Barney appears to have come back from his unionized coffee break and is indeed waving the checkered flag.
Oh, he's waving the heck out of it. Look at him go. That's fantastic. The strength in that wrist.
All right, let's get the grid done. We got Alan Yang. He's going to be starting it in P1 with Andrew Moran in second. Ian Joyner takes third with Garrett Lund in fourth. Great starting place for him. Michael Prechek's going to take fifth with Matt Larkin in sixth. Cairo ends in seventh with Matt Larkin, his teammate Anthony Lanassa right behind him in eighth. That's going to be good news for Team Purple. Edwin Riviera is going to take ninth with Mark Frederick, closing out your top 10.
Lee Martinez starting 11th alongside Valdas Van Servicius. And then in the 13th place, Kyle Diaz-Castro, Sean Haggerty alongside Ben Velzen. It's been a tough night for him so far. He's going to start 15th in race 3 alongside Sammy Hendricks, with David Kent and Zoltan Zomotor on the 9th row. Mikhail Sabiniaz and Mike Sargent round out your top 20.
Fernando Afonso is going to take 21st, with Mahid Rahman absolutely falling through the standings at the end of that. He's in 22nd. 23rd will be Kevin Adrian, definitely not the best luck for him. VJ Racing Academy takes 24th, with Rafael Romanski getting caught in that lap on incident last race. He's in 25th, with Mayan Glitzka closing out your grid in 26th. As I believe the lights are indeed queuing up. Reese, we're getting ready to go for the final race here at VIR North. And look at these drivers. Absolutely slingshot in that car to the inside line. A couple of them not able to get by. Can Alan Yang repeat the success he had in race 2? You can already see there Andrew Moran looking to apply pressure. Joyner backing it up very slightly as Garrett Lander able to hold on to 4th place. Cairo Enns has made his way up 1 position, and Team Purple are side by side. I definitely don't think that's an accident. I think these guys are going to be looking to try and play the team game.
Yeah, Lanasser and Larkin at the very back of this massive pack. It's side by side between Joyner and and Yang, sorry. Yang has fallen back a little bit there from that pole position start. He now runs in 3rd. Both Yang and Prechuk there, the Team White cars in the top 10. They have been willing to get the elbows out and go side by side. Now Yang stands to consolidate a great point stay here. All he has to do is keep up with Moran and Joyner, who held some of the top spots in practice and qualifying.
Well, certainly, again, Moran leading the championship, and for good reason. But I think Ian Joyner is definitely going to be the a little bit of a pest to him in all fairness. You know, he's maybe been the Tony Stark of the Almeida Racing League, certainly, and you know, what's his name? I guess Thanos is currently, I guess, yeah, we call Andrew Moran Thanos. He's holding the Infinity Stones. He's got the championship. And assuming we don't get sued by Marvel for making these jokes, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully not. It's all in good humour, and we're advertising Marvel Rivals at the same time. You're welcome. But as we see there, Mike Sargent once again mowing the lawn a little bit there. But definitely, you know, there's going to be a battle ensuing, and you know, that top spot definitely the one everybody's going to want to get. But Mike Sargent now ahead of his teammate. He's got Liam Bentbelsen behind him. Can these guys work together to overcome Sean Haggerty?
Yeah, Bentbelsen only able to make up 1 position off from his start. Evidently, VIR is not his kind of circuit, so he's just trying to do some damage limitation here. Kyle Diaz-Castro up ahead of him, and at the moment, it's looking like Diaz-Castro is the one with the advantage, turning in for left hook very nicely and keeping some good stability in that 07 machine, but they do seem to be losing touch with the drivers up ahead of them. Oh, look at this. Just up ahead of them, Lee Martinez getting a good run on Valdas Vancevicius, but Valdas there in that Team White car able to keep the inside line into the infield section. It is a long chain of cars all the way up to Moran in the lead.
Well, that's exactly what we want to see here. Some very close racing, but I do believe something has happened to Sammy Hendricks. He's dropped 9 positions. I think there was an incident. Not sure what happened. Maybe we'll be able to catch a replay of that. But your hard charger right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed Fernando Afonso, and actually no, Mike Sargent there, who is in the 88 car, up 5 spots.
Do I hear a petting of a dog in the background there?
It's not me.
Okay. I was wondering what that jingling was, like a collar or something. Regardless, it's side by side between Valdas Vancevicius and the Team Red car of Lee Martinez. And Martinez has the outside into the first corner. Would have been able to turn in if Valdas Vancevicius wasn't there. Oh, it looks like Alan Yang might still be having some problems with his internet there blinking, as it looks like Mark Frederick has had a problem somewhere along the line here. Oh, just losing the rear end on turn in, and does he get cleaned up? Oh, everyone's doing a good job of avoiding him there. And they fortunately had some fair warning of that, which is good to see. Well, looks like Moran has actually fallen back to P2 there. Alan Yang taking the lead back, but the blinkies are coming back.
Well, certainly it is an awkward scenario. Certainly we have seen drivers get black flagged for blinking, and don't get me wrong, the iRacing service has implemented that, but it's not very potent. So I'm not going to interfere with that. I'm just going to let, you know, things take its course as we see. Oh dear!
Oh God! Okay.
Somebody just got mounted, and then Sabinares, I guess he was distracted by the show. Fair play to him, but what on earth happened there? I think David Kent was caught in that incident.
Yeah, and the number 9, that's Mahid Rahman. Oh dear. It's been a horrific turn of events for Mahid Rahman there. Finished very well in race 1, could have been fighting in race 2, but was crashed right before he got to the start-finish line. Well, regardless, find your way through, continue going as best you can, because you've got another effective race 1 and 2 length to go. 5 minutes just passed in this 20-minute final race, and everyone here behind Alan Yang is thinking, what if the blinkies start coming back when we're alongside him?
Yeah, definitely. I would not want to be the guy to have to make that decision. Certainly with no coaches present, it's just going to be left to its own devices. But you can see there right now, I think Moran will probably weigh up the pros and cons and say it's not worth it. But don't get me wrong, this guy likes podiums. And don't get me wrong, he's on the second step right now. But is he going to be keen to get some more? As we see Leon Bentvelsen, he's back at it with Mike Sargent. Now, are these guys going to work together? Certainly Bentvelsen, the crowd favorite here at Pit Road Productions. Certainly got to love you guys coming in every week to see us for that. I certainly do. As you see here, the number 23 car definitely not had the best of luck, but can he work with Sargent together to try and slingshot themselves up further through the grid?
Yeah, this is the question. It's always difficult from in the midfield to try and mount some kind of challenge forward, especially when the front group is all slipstreaming off each other. Kevin Adrian, one of the drivers who's looking to make up some places here. Remember the last time we saw him in race 2, he was missing his nose and had massive suspension damage to the front. Well, he's gotten that pace continued in that car. He's going to be trying to get around Mahid Rahman and potentially Sean Haggerty as well. But he has to go wide there. Haggerty on his way through. And it looks like the drama is increasing up at the front. It looks like Alan Yang just had a massive slide. And now it's completely messed things up for everyone behind him. Mikhail Prechuk recovering from a huge slide. Moran gets away and continues to challenge Yang. But now Joyner, Lanassa, Enz and Larkin all together. Team Red versus Team Purple. 2x2. Noah's arcing into the corner as Alan Yang has to go wide for Andrew Moran, who wants to go for the lead here. They're going to continue side by side up the hill through the infield section. Moran has the inside for Roller Coaster and Yang has to yield. But then his teammate comes onto the scene. Who's going to win the battle here?
Well, I'm just glad that Alan Yang has indeed stopped blinking. Certainly the connection issue was very alarming, maybe coming under some attention that he doesn't necessarily desire, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, Michael Prechuk getting a big run, and he definitely had to back out of that there. You can see like the nose dip very slightly, but Moran has indeed proven to be a contender to, to really try and take a bite out of. And so look at that, weaving on the straight. He is not keen for anybody to try and get that slipstream.
Well, very keen indeed. Valdas Vansevicius looking on here from 9th place. Edwin Rivera up ahead of him at the rear end of this battle pack. And Prechuk, meanwhile, facing off against Anthony Lanassa and Ian Joyner. Looks to me like Joyner's the one he's fighting with at the moment. Double left-hander there, but the outside line is with Ian Joyner, and he takes 3rd place back. Prechuk now has to switch to defending from Lanassa to stop himself from falling further down the order. This has been just a really active night of racing, hasn't it?
Absolutely fantastic stuff here at VIR, albeit the North Circuit. I will forgive them, though. The racing is indeed, for lack of better words, quality. Sounding like a very dodgy Brit there. I apologise. It's somewhat as I do understand Fernando Afonso has just picked up a meatball flag. Incredible stuff so far, but I gotta say, Joyner, can he capitalise on this? Can he move himself up into second? Let's find out exactly what happened to Afonso. That looked like a little bit of net code, followed by a little bit of contact.
Yeah, his fellow Team Blue car there of Garrett Lund, in fact, and Lund was having a pretty good run of things up to this point. He's had to come into the pits and, I believe, retire the car after a 6th and a 4th thus far tonight. This is not the end that Garrett Lund would have wanted.
Definitely not. I do feel for the guy. He's had incredible pace, but certainly he seems to be a oh dear.
The drama continuing for David Kent there, and it looks like it involved the number 26 of Sammy Hendricks as well. Oh wow, they're dropping like flies at the moment.
Well, certainly, if they are indeed dropping like flies, we need indeed turn off that ultraviolet light. 'Cause certainly, a few of these guys getting caught in the haze, and Mahid Rahman was definitely one of them in that last race. He's looking to try and recover from that, as he's currently up. If I have a quick look now, he is currently up 5 positions. But a little bit of good news here for VJ Rajasakaran. He is up 11 positions, currently resting in 13th. Fair play to him.
Yeah, for sure. VJ. Oh no, there were a couple other cars stuck together there in the runoff area. I'm not sure who.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it seems like every other corner there's some sort of incident you come upon here. What happened here? It was Vansevicius and the number 23 trying to come through. Oh no, that was Bentvelsen who was trying to take advantage there, and they ended up getting completely stuck together in the runoff area. Oh, the internet problems seem to have returned for Alan Yang, and that's not going to fill Joyner with any confidence as he tries to chase them down to get further up the podium.
Yeah, definitely. The blinking is definitely a concern, for sure. Certainly, if I was racing around him, I would not be a fan. As you see him there, blinking in and out. We do have Brian Lockwood, who is up and awake. He can't join the session, but I have instructed him to keep an eye on the blinking, and then that way he can make the call if he feels a black flag is necessary. Certainly, I do not want to be the person to trigger that. But you see there, right now, these guys are able to predict where he's going to go, albeit not able to make a pass, and definitely a scary set of circumstances.
Indeed. Lanassa's view of it all is another Team White car. He's trying to chase down Mikhail Prechuk for 4th place. The top 3 are well and truly together as they come back into the uphill. And that's a good run through the middle of the corner for Lanassa. There's not much room to get alongside, though, because the track meanders to the right and to the left again. It's, you're carrying a lot of throttle through it, but it is far from a straight.
Yeah, very much so. And that section there, you definitely have to make sure you position the car perfectly. If you go just a little bit off the line, it compromises you so heavily. It's almost like an accumulation of reduced pace. If you're just slightly off, it's very much a place where you need to have incredible position here. And I find that is probably the biggest thing with VIR. You definitely have to place the car very, very precisely if you want to get the optimal line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not too successful at it. They call it America's Nürburgring, and for very good reason. It's tough to get a lap right around here, but they've continued to get it right up the front, lap on lap, and looks like it's going to be side by side between Yang and Joyner. Yang continuing to defend the position nicely there, as it seems his connection is stabilized again for the moment. Just seems pretty intermittent with Yang. Probably not worth flagging him over if I was in a steward's position, which of course I am not. But regardless, when it does pop up, it's not ideal. Seems like there's been a crash for Mahid Rahman once again. And what has happened here? He's been trying to get this position back from the Team White car, and he's just carried the brakes way too hard into the corner there. And I think that's going to be the end of things for Mahid Rahman.
I gotta admit that whoever was in that Team White car did an absolutely fantastic job of avoiding that accident. It was like they were an auto slalom. Great stuff there on the avoidance. But right now, you see Moran, he's got that lead. He's opened it up to about 6-7 tenths of a second now. Can Alan Yang fight back? Can Ian Joyner fight back? Certainly, it is indeed a tight battle from about P1 all the way down to, I'd say, about P11 there. A couple of 1 second gaps, but for the most part, very much together. Actually, the hard charge right now is still VJ Rajasakaran up 13 positions at this point. Mike Sargent in P9 with 11 positions gained.
Yeah, very good run up through the field indeed. And see what Larkin will be able to do here to try and keep the Team Purple car at bay. Oh, goodness me. Edwin Rivera in the Team Red machine. He is running it ragged to the edge, as is Mike Sargent. Amazing to see that Sargent, in spite of all the issues he suffered, has still been able to keep himself in the running here for a top 10 position. Remember, he started down in 20th place, and this is a massive, massive run for him. But I think he's very wisely choosing to stay back from this fight, because Edwin Rivera and Matt Larkin are giving no quarter. See how much more speed Mike Sargent carried through the corner there? That's why you don't want to be too close to a side-by-side battle.
Very much so, and it's kind of like we were saying in the qualifying as well. You know, the draft is good, but if you get too close, it's actually detrimental to pace. You see here, probably one of my favorite parts of the track. And as you go around, head down towards the last corner here, they're going to go through a little bit of a dip. You get a bit of a compression. The weight moves to the front of the car, and this could be quite a popular spot to spin out, honestly, because a little bit too much weight goes on the nose. Something that's often a little bit underestimated there on the sim. But as we check in with the lead pack again, Moran is about 7/10 of a second ahead. Alan Yang and Ian Joyner taking a little bit more out of him as Joyner's looking to make the pass on the outside heading into turn 1.
Good defense from Alan Yang, sticking it all the way to the inside and not allowing Joyner to try the switchback there. It's very tempting to run out wide on the exit of turn 1 here at VIR, but you've got to remember the track keeps going to the right, and so you want to defend, you want to stick tight on the exit. All over the back of Andrew Moran is Alan Yang, and Joyner now falling back into the clutches of Prechuk, who's been putting on some magnificent times these last couple of laps. In fact, Prechuk was the fastest car in the top 10 on the last lap.
Atta boy, good job there from Michael Prechuk, and you can see there looking to make some moves going there, pushing it side by side as they go through that set of chicanes. I got to admit, I definitely enjoy it, but not optimal if they want to stay with the lead pack. He's got to decide, you know, who is he fighting with? Is he fighting with the guy ahead alongside, or is he indeed looking to try and get himself further up the podium? But with just 4 minutes left to go, if you want to make a move, you're going to have to get it done quickly.
Oh, absolutely. 4 minutes remaining on the clock. And my timing is telling me there's going to be 3 laps to go when we get to the start-finish line there. Kevin Adrian still continuing on in his 12th spot battle. He's trying to pass Carl Diaz-Castro for 11th, but across the line, these guys come, and the slipstream is there for Alan Yang, who's not quite close enough for a move, but Moran is under attack.
Definitely under attack. I believe something has happened with Mike Sargent here. Let's check in with the 88 cars. He's looking to make a move on the inside. Catches a bit too much curb. Gets caught up with the 22. Oh dear. Edwin Riviera getting caught up in that as well. But it looked like, if all things considered, it looked like they emerged with very minimal damage.
Yes, indeed. Definitely could have been worse, but it's not what you want to see for either driver. They had a good chance for a top 10 there, but Edwin Rivera will certainly feel a little bit shortchanged from that. It's obviously a difficult corner to make the move at, and this is, in spite of it being widened when it reopened in 2000, VIR still a very narrow circuit, especially when compared to other modern venues. So if you're going to run side by side, you need to be aware of that.
Certainly, I believe it adds to the fun myself. Certainly, you know, if you take me somewhere like Silverstone, I'm almost lost because of just how wide it is. This is much more my kind of deal. Certainly, it's not quite as narrow as Cadwell Park. That is definitely, for lack of a better words, pretty brutal for to try and make a pass there. But right now, these guys are absolutely doing everything they can. Gently does it, ladies and gentlemen, as Ian Joyner is there in 3rd place, looking to try and make a move on Alan Yang to regain 2nd.
That's a good slipstream. Yang's going to use the pit exit there to try and defend the position, and he is successful. Has he gone too deep, though, and allowed the opportunity for Joyner to get through on the right? Yes, he has. And is this going to be enough for Joyner to take the position at NASCAR Bend? Not quite. Yang is holding the inside well, but Joyner is super aggressive into the bend, but he is unable to keep the momentum going on the exit. And I tell you what, Yang is giving us a very good demonstration of how to defend around here.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. The more he does, though, the more Andrew Moran is pulling away. That gap is now a 2nd. I'd say they're on the limit of draft. This might be in the bag for the 99 car, the championship leader. But right now, I think Alan Yang has other matters pressing, as he has the the nose cone of Ian Joyner, that number 16 car, the Team Red machine, applying a very generous amount of pressure right behind. You can see there, if he gets any closer, he could literally put the nose cone in that exhaust pipe, certainly in that kind of category. Very close racing indeed. They're only going to have maybe one more lap to get this done.
Yeah.
It's going to be a battle down to the wire.
Yep, 1 lap remains on the ticker. Barney will be waving the white flag. I mean, I hope he's waving it anyway. He doesn't seem to have been doing his job all that much today. Look at him. He's just
Slacker.
Is he having a cuppa up there? Come on, man. Wave the flag. He's got it in his hand, but he's not waving it. Here goes Joyner to second, and here comes Mikhail Prechuk. Oh, my Lord. 3 wide coming into turn 1. Prechuk taking second place out of nowhere, and he immediately loses it. He's gone too deep. 3 wide. Let's go.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you can definitely tell it's the last race. Ladies and gentlemen, certainly the gloves have indeed come off. There's a little bit of a contact there with Enz and Prechuk, as it looked like Lanassa was trying to capitalize on that as well. Certainly these drivers, very much, it's a team game until the last lap, and they definitely got that memo. The gloves have come off. The teddies are indeed being thrown up, and everybody is now fighting for every single bit of real estate, every position they can get. What an incredible battle here. Ian Joyner able to hold on to second. Alan Yang there in third. Is he going to try and make one more move? Joyner runs a little bit deep there. Is this going to be the opportunity that Yang can capitalize on?
Oh, man, that is the question. What a race this has been. That fleeting moment of glory for Mikhail Prechuk. Ian Joyner still trying to chase down Andrew Moran at the end of this one. Alan Yang back to third. But Moran has a 2-second lead here. And out of Hogpen, he has nothing to worry about. Just wait for that flag stand to come up. Wait for the start-finish line. Just quietly, it's a little bit later than you expect if you've never driven VIR before. But Andrew Moran, what a drive. Continuing his championship charge there. And Joyner and Yang will round out your podium as it's super close there between Lanassa and Enz. I am seeing a 0 between them on that timing screen.
That is incredibly close. As you see here, Rafael Romanski, he's coming across the line now. He's got Mike Sargent behind him. Definitely a little bit unfortunate, but Mark Frederick is going to be in a drag race. And who's going to get it done? I believe he's managed to just about get that move done, as you see Zoltan Zomotor coming across the line as well. Some incredibly close racing. Even on my timing screen, it's telling me that Lanassa and Enz are literally a flat 0. I'm going to be very interested to see what the results say. Incredibly close.
Oh, yeah, absolutely crazy. And Fernando Afonso is going to be one of the final drivers here. In fact, the final driver, I think, to come across the line there on the lead lap. And, well, that's been a very difficult night for the Brazilian. I keep saying night because it's past midnight for me here in Australia, but it's probably the middle of the day for most of these people. So a tough day here on the Easter weekend for many drivers in the Almeida Racing League. Andrew Moran winning the final race of the day, with Ian Joyner and Alan Yang joining him on the podium. Great points haul for Mr. Yang there. Anthony Lanassa and Cairo Enz. Well, it looks like it only came down to the 1,000th, maybe the 10,000th of a second between them for 4th place. Crazy job from them. Mikhail Prechuk, he had a go at getting onto the podium, but had to settle for 6th there after that blinding move into turn 1. Matt Larkin and Vijay Rajaseka in 7th and 8th, with Martinez and Rivera rounding out your top 10. Haggerty finishes in 11th, with Rafael Romanski up to 12th. Mike Sargent, he had a chance at a top 10 finish, and unfortunately it slipped away from him, with Kevin Adrian making a good recovery to 14th after the massive damage he suffered in race 2. Mark Frederick, Valdez Vencevicius, Zoltan Zomotor, Carl Diaz Castro, Mikhail Sabinias, and Fernando Alfonso are your top 20, all of them finishing on the lead lap. And then we had to go down to David Kent, a lap down. He was suffering a couple of problems in that race, involved in a few incidents. Same for Mahid Rahman, who retired. Same for Leon Bentvels, and shame to not see Leon get to the finish there, with Lund, Hendricks, and Glixer also either not taking part in Glixer's case or retiring in the case of Lund and Hendricks. That is your field, Zippy, and it's time to chat to our drivers.
Well, certainly we've got a few more we're waiting for, actually, as well. We see Andrew Moran, he's keen to come in. Certainly Ian Joyner, we've not spoke to him, I don't think, in here yet. Alan Yang, you guys, if you want to come in, certainly actually any of the Academy drivers, you know what, we generally do a couple of interviews, so by all means, the only way we can interview you is if you actually show up in the booth. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come and have a chat with us, that is the way. But in the meantime, let's talk to this gentleman. He's leading the championship going in, and what an absolutely fantastic night of results for you, Andrew Moran. Definitely VIR on your track approved list.
Yeah, 100%. I'll actually be there next month, driving the short course, just like the North course, just like this. So yeah, I really like this track. I just It was a lot of it's a lot of good racing. It was yeah, it was a pretty good night and our day for me. But
Oh, absolutely. Certainly a 1, a 2, and a 1. It really doesn't get much better than that. But Andrew, tell us a little bit. You said you're going to be driving this in real life. What are you going to be behind the wheel of?
it's just a Skip Barber F4 car. I won it through the sim, through the Skip Barber series, and so I won a free school day. So that's why I'm going.
Well, I got to admit, I'm familiar with which bit you're on about there, and I got to admit, fantastic stuff as well. Definitely,
thanks.
by all means, try and get some video of that. We'd definitely love to see it. I certainly enjoy watching that. Sim to reality being a absolutely massive thing here on Pit Road Productions, and indeed, you look at the Almeida Academy as well. Literally, Swelio started as a sim racer. Now he races in real life, ladies and gentlemen. Went to Radicals, won the championship, and now runs in IMSA. But Andrew, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Thanks for the guys today for the draft. Garrett helped me out, and Michael Dowden's actually driving Summit Point this week. You can actually watch it in like 1 hour, so it's on YouTube. Majors. So he's driving the Formula Ford.
Well, that definitely sounds exciting. So, ladies and gentlemen, definitely by all means check that out on YouTube. But Andrew, congratulations on getting all 3 podiums, 2 firsts and a second. That is an absolutely incredible result.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that indeed was Andrew Moran. Reese, let's maybe get a couple of highlights from you. I'm going to try and gather up a couple more drivers in the meantime.
Yeah, honestly, Alan Yang ripping away to that race 2 victory. That was a seriously good drive from Alan, and in spite of the internet issues, he was able to overcome everything and do one of the most impressive drives I've seen this season from someone who isn't Andrew Moran or any other of the other guys who are usually up the front here. Certainly the first time I've seen Yang way up the front, and he certainly made good use of it. Got to say as well, Mikhail Prechuk gets the Bravery Award for that move into turn 1, coming onto the final lap, going 3 wide and maybe a bit too deep, but he had to have a go if he wanted to get those points. I understand that it looks like you might have gotten another driver in Zippy, and it seems it is Cairo Ends. G'day, Cairo. It was a tough day for you in some respects, but you can't complain about 2 7ths and a 5th.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Practicing in the hot conditions really prepared me quite well to get into this race. I had a few official races under my belt as well. I had a very good practice battling a variety of different drivers, battling a few people in the 5K, 6K iRating range. I felt pretty confident in the races. I know my pace isn't quite there for qualifying, but yeah, this morning during the warm-up, I got a little bit of extra practice in, started to get a good feel for the consistency, and it just held through and it paid off pretty well for me.
What do you think of the track? Because, obviously, this is the first time I've been in a broadcast race at the North layout of VIR. Certainly was difficult to get moves done around here, especially through that infield section.
Yeah, it's quite a fast section. If you nail your corner out of NASCAR and into the right-hander right after, there's not much space to get around people. You really got to wait for an opportunity to open up. And one of the big passing opportunities that I was hoping to make good use of today was into the uphill. I made good use of that in the pit parties earlier. I made good use of that in officials, but today it was tough. I absolutely love this track. It's a very difficult track, very technical. One tiny mistake can drop you back so far, but it was nothing but a blast today.
Absolutely. It was a blast watching you as well, Cairo, involved in all of those fights. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to my family watching. Thank you all for all your support. Thank you to my wife. Without her, I wouldn't have even gotten into sim racing. So, yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks for joining us, Cairo, and best of luck in the final round at Zandvoort next week.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was Cairo Ends there. 7th in race 1, 7th in race 2, and 5th in race 3. Had a lot of adventures on his way to it, Zippy, and it looks like that might be all the drivers that we can gather for now.
Yeah, certainly we are indeed going to bring this show to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, what an absolutely fantastic session of racing. Certainly we saw some battles, we saw some team tactics, and indeed we saw some incredible racing indeed. But that just about wraps it up for us here on Pit Road Productions and I guess on the Sweater Almeida's channel as well. Definitely pretty honored to be featured on there. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is I guess always will be, Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the booth today was Reese, the Yogi Bear Gardener, with Rob Goatee Campbell working the production controls. We will see you next week for the finale at Sandford. Thank you very much.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.